I assure you that you probably know somebody who you label as the person who talks too much, the yapper, the nonsense talker, whatever you want to call them. Annoying is really what most people would call those people, annoying. And these are the people who literally just don't shut their trap. You just talk about anything. Oh, how are you? Oh, well, the sky's so blue. Oh, what's your favorite color? Oh, they're literally like a squirrel who cannot find their nut. And I like to think of these people as they're talking without a purpose. They're just kind of because they can. Now, a second group of people that I have seen before, and I'm sure you have as well, is people who can't stand silence or, I guess, sit with their thoughts. And I always think of an elevator, right? When we're standing in an elevator, it's pretty okay, pretty worldly, I guess, the standard world. I'm not sure what the word I'm looking for is. The norm. There you go. It's the norm for everybody to be silent on the elevator, right? That's pretty normal. And it's also pretty normal to, start a conversation. But there's a difference when people are trying to just fill the silence. If someone is in an elevator with you and they literally just don't want to hear themselves breathe and they talk to you, that's kind of silly. Now, if it's someone who is actually curious about what you're doing or how your day is, that kind of has a little more power, has a little more oomph in why they're speaking to you. They're not just wasting your time. And the third group of people are people who are super self-centered, and their sole purpose of talking to you is just to seek validation. They're fishing for compliments. They're telling you their accomplishments, and all in an effort to have you, congratulate them, compliment them, talk more about, ask more questions about them, just to kind of feed their ego and validate that, their life isn't a waste in their own eyes. Because in the end, all these three things, I've noticed that these people kind of struggle with themselves. They kind of just struggle with sitting with themselves, right? They can't look at themselves in the mirror without feeling happy about the person they're looking at on the other side or in the mirror. And of course, I'm not saying that I'm the most perfect person. And some days I definitely wish I could do better at a lot of things. I wish I had accomplished more things, but these people specifically are just kind of miserable and lost in some way because they've just been so down on themselves for long period of time without anybody really helping them or listening to how they feel and actually caring for them. And also they may not have, they may not know where to start on how to feel better about themselves, which is a very common thing and something that I've definitely struggled with for many years, and something that I've never realized that I struggled with until I had kids and I started to look inward and kind of change things. But that's a whole nother story for another time. But the reason why I bring this up is because I believe it was the last video we talked about active listening. And it's really hard to be an active listener or even want to actively listen if the people you are talking to are just kind of talking shit, I guess, like shit's falling out of their mouth. I can't remember what the saying is, but like everything they say has no value or no purpose. It's literally just filling the air, whether it's the people who just talk to talk or people who are seeking validation or people who can't let silence sit. They're all just people who are struggling with themselves, and in turn, why should you have to suffer with trying to listen to all that shit? It's kind of harsh, but in the end, if we're talking to someone, we want to have an enjoyable time, right? It's a two-way street, right? Once a conversation is a one-way, it's very unenjoyable for the person trying to drive the other way. And I want to share a story of a time I had a job interview. And so it was for a executive position at a store. And I remember when I applied, I just applied for shits and giggles because I was like, there's no way that I qualify for this. When on paper, I definitely did qualify for it. But as I went into the interview, I carried that kind of doubt with me. And the whole time I just felt like I didn't qualify. And in result, I was just kind of talking too much. I was oversharing. I was talking about things that really didn't matter or really affect, I guess, my employment or, availability or whatever it was specifically in that moment. I was talking with no purpose. And on top of that, I was just not stopping. I was not stopping talking. That doesn't sound right. I kept talking without any breathing room. There was no quiet time. I couldn't let it be quiet or let answers sit, because I just felt like every time there was a quiet moment, I would see the pen get right. The interviewer would start writing something down and be like, oh shit, I did something negative. I got to keep talking so they can't write shit down. And which is really dumb of me, obviously. And I was also very self-centered in the fact of I would just answer the questions that they would ask me about myself. I know that sounds silly, but what I mean is they would ask me about a certain quality, a certain trait, a certain thing that I would do in a certain situation. And I would just answer kind of like boastfully and think like, oh yeah, I could handle that. I could do that easy. And of course you can, you want to be confident in your interviews, but I did it in a way that didn't come off right. And on top of that, I didn't expound on the things that I shared. I should have been like, oh, specifically in this situation, I would have told this employee to do this or whatever else there would have been. And, maybe redirected some questions towards them and kind of get a feel of what they're looking for. And I didn't do any of that. And in result, I didn't get the job, which sucked because it paid a lot of money. And I like money. Money's cool because it makes the world go round, unfortunately. So looking back, it's definitely a time where I really wish I would have kind of thought about what I was saying and kind of wished that I was speaking instead of talking. And just to wrap things up, a perfect example of a good speaker are people who are able to control the room. I think of like TED Talks, right? Go to a TED convention, and all the people who are talking, they're not just yapping and talking about whatever. Everything that they share is essential to what they're trying to teach you. And not only that, when they say things, they let things sit. They let the punchy stories or one-liners, whatever they have, they let it punch you. And silence kind of is the biggest teacher sometimes. I've heard, I can't remember the saying, but it goes along the lines of silence sometimes is the biggest teacher, because that allows you to think about what someone is saying or think about what you just heard. And we just kind of need to be comfortable with who we are, because how we view ourselves is really how we're going to portray ourselves to others, and sometimes how we're going to treat people. And 99% of the time, the first impression we have with someone or the first interaction we have with someone is with words, with talking or speaking to someone. And we just got to think before we speak, and be sure to share things that are valuable. And again, you don't need to literally just talk to someone to extract information, but you want to respect someone's beliefs, values, time especially, and be able to get your point across. And if you're able to do that effectively, people are definitely going to respect you and understand that, hey, this person is a really good person that I enjoy talking to, because they allow me to speak and listen and do all of these things. But just something cool that I learned. So have a good night. Mwah. Oh shit, I forgot to say, if you just like to hang with people, join the Discord, because we just be talking about the randomest shit and it's so funny. But anyways, good night.